I started going
Mm-hmm.
back and reflecting on things that I would see my mother do during time of death, how she would cook up a meal and take to the family. And nowadays they pick up chicken on the way there, which I ain't judging you, but they eat half of it before they leave. Like, and I think we also have this thing where we want to be able to heal people's hurt. And some things we have to go through as individuals. And so sometimes not saying anything is better than saying the wrong thing. Case in point, I know how you feel. You really don't. Oresa, I know how you feel. Someone said that to me at my son's funeral. I know how you feel. I lost my mother. Did you give birth to your mother? No, you didn't. I was in San Diego a few weeks ago and I talked about competitive grief. We try to make our grief just as great or greater than the person that we're talking to seem relatable. And it's no such thing. I can talk to a mother who lost her 21-year-old son August 7th, 2006, same day as my son, and still not have the same experience as her, still not have the same journey. So I think when we come to those spaces, just allowing people the space to grieve and the space to talk and being wise enough to know when they want a response, when they need a response. And some friends of mine, I'll even ask, do you want to know what I think right now? And some of them be like, no, I just wanted to talk. And I got it. I'm good with that. And sometimes later, they may be like, what was you thinking at that time? And so I
You're
think
de-
just feeling the moment,
you're
and
describing the
knowing, like,
McMillan.
yeah, yeah,
I was just say
and
you
going,
described the McMillan marriage right there. Like sometimes my
really,
wife just want to say something, and then I'll be dumb enough to respond. She didn't want me to say nothing.
I, she'd be like, should I respond? So going back to your initial question, like if someone's child is murdered, I think knowing and recognizing that, first of all, that may be the most traumatic experience that they'll ever go through. And just recognizing that and also giving that person grace when they lash out, because they will, when they act in a manner that you don't think they should be acting, because they will. I'll never forget screaming out the car door as we was driving away from the hospital, get down to the house. I'll never forget that. With my pastor in tow and everybody looking at me. And
Yeah.
thankful that they gave me grace. So those are different experiences. You know,
Welcome to The Incredible Messenger, a blend of real-world stories, expert insights, and proven strategies that keep our families, communities, and cities safe and healthy. Moving beyond rhetoric and politics to practical solutions and community safety, here's your host, Jonathan McMillan.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Jonathan McMillan, the host of the Incredible Messenger podcast. And you already know what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I am so excited about the guest that I am bringing to y'all today. We were just talking in the virtual green room. She already had me a little teary-eyed and misty-eyed because she's just a beautiful, beautiful person, beautiful energy, one of the kindest, most authentic, genuine people that you will ever meet. I will give you, of course, a little background about my connection with her. She is, if there's such thing as celebrity in the field of gun violence prevention, community violence intervention, I think this person personifies it. And again, it's because of how authentic and genuine and kind and the great energy she brings. And she also helps us center in on why we do the work, because she is in that unenviable sorority of a parent who has lost a child to gun violence and firearm related harm, and found the resilience and the resolution to use that experience as a catalyst for change, to become a champion for change. Now, I just want to jump into the conversation. I have my wonderful sister, Oresa Napper-Williams, founder of Not Another Child. Welcome to the show, sis.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for those kind words.
Welcome. And thank you again for giving me the opportunity to go a good so flowingly about a person like yourself, right? Listen, I mentioned your entryway into the work that you do, and you do so much, and you do it so well, and you do it. I would even say differently than a lot of people who have, again, just had the unenviable experience of losing a child. Is
Mhm.
I would even say it's deeper than just that one experience. It was multiple
Cool.
experiences, and it's your story to tell. So I would love for you to talk a little bit more about the work that you do and why do you do it?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that out because a lot of people only think of where I am from the experience that they met me through, not realizing that my son was murdered at 21, but about 3 days before his 18th birthday, he was shot in his back
Oh,
while he was trying to get away from conflict. And it's so ironic that he was attending Martin Luther King High School. His birthday was going to be that Monday on Martin Luther King Day.
oh
And
wow.
so that instance, as well as just growing up in our community, my
Mhm.
youngest son's father doing 40 to life for 2 murders, and then just having countless people being caught up in that cycle of gun violence and gang violence. And I'm not tell my age, although I'm on the road to 60. That was in the 80s. And it
Mhm.
never was a work that defined how we could save ourselves from it. A lot of times when
Mhm.
I talk in New York and amongst our partners here, I always tell them if this work would have been as big as it is now in 2006, it's a possibility my son might have been here. I still believe it was God's will for it to happen, how it happened, when it happened. But so many lives have now been saved so much through the work. And so when Andrell transitioned August 7th, 2006, I, as a single mother, have always worked from the vein of if my children didn't have anyone else, they had me. And it had to come to whether in life or in death. Because my son
Mhm.
transitioned with no children, no baby mama, no legacy, none of that. I always talk about the cards that I would get in the mail afterwards from all of the culinary schools. And he was very creative. He liked to draw and all the different schools and stuff. So he just died with a dream of what could happen, of what
Mhm.
could be. And when a 15-year-old pled guilty, I put on an advocacy hat that I didn't even know that I and created a space where I could just scream at young people, 15 years old, or however old, especially young men. And I know with the young men and having food, that would attract the young ladies. So in 2007, after a year of planning, we did our first annual Not Another Child Playing for Change tournament. And it was phenomenal. We had street legend Pee Kirkland there and gave out books. And I was just like, oh, this is cute. I can go back to work. You know, the next year I'm back out there. Oh, this is cute. I go back to work, working in DOE as a family coordinator. And the more we did it, the more the youth came. Started
Mhm.
pulling up on the block, and the youth would run to the car. Is the tournament starting today? And I'm like, no, it is May. The tournament is in July and August. Like, but their launch for it just started to pull at my heartstrings. And so we kept going. We went from a 1 day tournament to a full weekend, which was big, a Friday and a Saturday. But then we went to a whole month. Then we went to 2 months. Then we went to the full summer. But I did not want to lose the essence. And I said, how can I keep that therapeutic portion in there? Because I ain't got nobody else to scream at. They already know what I'm talking about now. And so myself and my son, Justin, who works wholeheartedly with the tournament, I was able to have them to then start bringing in pictures of their loved one. I would tell the team, just one loved one, bring in a picture that we could hang and you can play in memory of them. And that would be your retaliation. You making their name great in this tournament until one team, we're weeks into the tournament. And I'm like, all right, where's your picture? And they said, we could not decide on who to bring. We've had so many deaths. We couldn't decide who to bring. Bring them on. Bring them on. Bring them on. So between that and lining the pictures up as they're playing, and it was in Brooklyn on a street called Lafayette Avenue, and the 38 bus runs down. So the outside of the park, I had the families to put up pictures of their loved ones. So as the buses go through, the families, everyone would see them and they would come over and take pictures. And the families started pulling. Where's our support? And I went on that journey with them because I didn't come with a North Star. Yes, I had 2 mentors, Jackie Rowe Adams, Harlem Mother Saves in Harlem, and also Dorothy Johnson Spite in Philly, Mothers in Charge. But sometimes the work looks different in different spaces and places. And so I went on this journey with these families. Of course, a lot of them were mothers, and eventually dads came, just seeing what we needed and creating those spaces where we could just hear from each other, that peer support, not giving each other solutions, but saying, hey, what year are you in again? Oh, I went through that in that year too, and this is what I did. And allowing them to take that and put their secret sauce on it of what they needed for their healing. And so here we are, almost 20 years later. Not another child. We're in 5 schools. One of those schools is a campus and has 4 schools in there. We do peer support sessions twice a month in Brooklyn and in Harlem with over 50-something survivors that are continual in services during the year. Our listing has over 100 survivors, and they dip in and out. They come for Mother's Day. They come for big event, Gun Violence Awareness Month, and all of that, which we're open to and fine with. But we have a consistent base of at least 50 survivors doing work, like I said, in the schools and just doing what we have to do. And so we're loving it. We're on this journey. We don't understand why, but now we understand why. And one thing I said, okay, God, I can't have my son back. What do you want me to do? Because I never want my child to be forgotten about. And he's had me just on this journey of making sure that other lives are saved, whether it's physically, whether it's mentally in healing or whatever it is. But through his death, someone else has life.
That is such a powerful question. Okay, God, what is it that you want me to do in this situation?
Some of us are scared of the answer. Some of us do have us right now. I'm hurt and I don't understand why, but knowing that everything's intentional and everything happens for a reason. My husband and I, we had the conversation about death and the timing of it. Do we have choices in how we go? Different things like that. And he's like, no, I don't think so. I think we all have our time to die. But and I'm like, but if that would have been the case and my son would have chosen to go in his sleep, what would my purpose and my work, where would that have been? Because this is what
powerful question.
Is for.
Right. Dude, that's a powerful question.
Yeah.
I'm almost speechless because I believe if you explore that, this is going to sound contrite, and I absolutely, especially not towards you, but in the larger picture of sometimes you really have to go through something to find your purpose. You have to go through
Absolutely.
pain to find your purpose, right? I
Okay.
know in I'm not comparing apples to apples at all. I
Mhm.
know had I not gone through the journey that I have gone through,
Mhm.
particularly going to prison and then seeing people dying around me, I would not be on this path. I wanted to be a rapper, right? When I went into prison, I was like, I'm gonna use this time to write notebooks and whole albums, and I would get out and be the best rap. And then I had experience in prison that like changed my complete trajectory. And here I am
Wow.
now, like 25 years later. And again, I do not, that is not to diminish or compare
No,
our
no, I get it.
experiences
You
at
get it.
all.
Mm.
I wanted to take time to honor your son and
Yes.
his presence in
Mm.
saying his name, Andrell, and
Andrell.
Andrell,
No, it's
and
right.
ask you. You said his birthday was Martin Luther King Day. So was he born on January
January
5th?
January 16th,
Okay.
the day after. Yep.
So that's my fellow Capricorn brother. This is so in honoring his presence that he is here with us as we keep his name
Mhm.
alive and in the legacy. It truly is the legacy through the work that you're doing that exists. So yeah, appreciate that.
Mm.
You said
Mm.
some. You've said a couple of things I want to follow up on.
Mhm.
As a surviving mother who found your purpose through that experience, you talked about how it was a 1-day tournament, turned into a 2-day tournament, turned into a month-long thing, and now it's turned into a full-blown nonprofit organization that is known across the country, if not beyond. Um, what was the transition like? What were the lessons that you had to learn in order to become the leader of a nonprofit organization rather than somebody who was just doing it as a response? Like this now is
Yeah.
bigger
Mhm.
than a 1-day tournament.
Yeah. And so I think it was a few things. I've always loved business.
Mm,
I've always loved business. Prior to my son's transition, I had my undergrad and it was a bachelor's of business administration. I've always loved community work. So when my son transitioned, I was working at my church doing our community stuff. That's how I met Senator Schumer and all of the mayors that came up through New York. And I think those two combined. And then after my son transitioned, I went back and got my master's of public administration. Well, that Jonathan, I never thought, I never fathomed it would get where it is now. And I just continue to allow myself to morph into
mm,
what I needed for the experience. And I allowed myself to not become bitter, but to become better. I meet a lot of survivors in this space where they're trying to create greatness in a silo. Those
mhm,
others that are doing the work, whether it's in community or something like that, no, because they're benefiting off our babies and I've never seen it like that. I've always seen it as the work that they're doing is important and the work that survivors at that time need is important. Because
mhm,
I think also, Jonathan, I positioned myself and not even intentionally around people that saw that I had something that was needed in the space.
boy, I love that point right there because here in Denver, I get people who come to me. Well, they used to come to me all the time and say, "Hey, I want to start a nonprofit. What should I do?" And my response would be, "Don't." And
Right.
that's why they don't come to me anymore because I would tell them, like, first off, you have to understand a nonprofit is a business. It's just a business with a different tax setup. Just because you fry the best chicken, just because you're the best
Right.
barber, you the best beautician doesn't mean that you're a good business person to know
That's
the
right. And
business of
that's
running a
right.
business.
That's right.
And people are under the misconception that if you say I'm doing a nonprofit, that the heavens open up and money just falls out the sky. And so my recommendation would be find a nonprofit that's doing something similar to what you're passionate about, and then find what is it that they need that you can provide to be even better. And of course, that narrative runs counter to their hopes, ambitions, and dreams, and their passion. And I never want to rain on anybody's parade, but I also don't want to tell them it's sunny skies out there when it's torrential downpours. So what you just said, and staying in those same lanes, though, talking about working as a nonprofit leader in this space around gun violence prevention, and the niche that not another child provides and the impact that it has, you have been very open talking about how others have tried to co-opt your influence and the work that not another child has done. Can you talk about like some of those challenges and what that's looked like, and how do we solve for making sure that the people on the ground in the community aren't getting swallowed up by these bigger for-profit or other organizations?
Even the way that the services that survivors need is coined victim services. When you think of a victim, you think of someone that has been defeated. My son was the victim. My son was the victim. I am his survivor, and I am surviving this. And I think that for years, bigger organizations, even some boots on the ground organizations now, they have been doing this work, not realizing that it's a different breed of survivors that's here now that are doing the work.
What makes them a different breed?
Because we're doing the work. Like, we're doing it. We can stand toe to toe with therapists and counselors. And although we may not go through the 5 stages of grief and this, that, and the other, we allow, similar to CPI work, we allow our life experience, be incredible messengers or credible survivors, whatever you want to call us, to take us and make us useful and needed in this space. And so what I try to tell those a lot, and it's a lot that comes along with that, Jonathan, because a lot of them receive survivor services funding. So they don't want to just take the admin course. They want to use some of that to pay for some of their staff, not realizing that these families that you are working with are not reaping the full benefits of what they need, because this is not your area of expertise. I was in Portsmouth last weekend, and the chief of police, oh my God, this man touched my heart, because he said, Miss Williams, I've never thought about it. He said, but we are there to hold the family's hands at the time of the incident and the experience. And we walk them through and we tell them about what's going on, and we're trying to catch someone. And when we catch someone, most of the time we let their hand go to keep focus on how do we bring this to justice, or in my words, closure, because it is justice. He said, but we do have to release the family. As a survivor-led organization, outside for Not Another Child, we offer a continuum of services. So in the beginning stages, we're there helping you with crime victims compensation, helping you with the funeral arrangements, helping you with all of that. Then we're doing individual support, whatever you may need, until you feel you are ready to morph into a group. And then when your first year anniversary come around, we're right there with you. Don't just start with the first year, because sometimes the second year is worse. When you have court, we're right there sitting on your side. And it's a pride and an ego that comes along with it. We are who we are. We're counselors and we're therapists, and we have out the get out of here with that.
Yeah.
I've also come to the realization that how CBI has an ecosystem, Survivors has an ecosystem as well. And as much as I am for peer support, that is the groundwork, because we hear from each other. We also still need counseling. We also still need therapy. We also need support from city agencies. So it's not like a one and done deal. And I think we're doing a good job with helping people understand that. Just with the cities that we've been in, just with the creation, and we'll talk about it later, but of the CVI National Survivor Network, just with those things where we're starting to create that pathway. But I want to go back to what you were even talking about with being a nonprofit leader. One of the biggest challenges is helping survivors know that this is not a game once you get a 501c3. But hard for me to tell you, don't get something that you think would be the only way that you could remember your child's legacy.
Right.
Because that is not the only way you can remember your child's legacy. You could come to the day. I tell you like this, because find an organization and go under them and let them be your fiscal conduit. Let them create the 1099 at the end of the year. Let them receive your donations and be accountable for it. I mean, you have your own too, because you do have to submit whatever's needed there. It has been so hard. And I'm like, do you really want to go back and get it? Like, what do you want to do? But then even with that, helping them see, because we do this work, our foundation of it is our passion. That we don't want another mother, another parent, a dad to go through what we're going through. And so our passion is what thrust us into the work. And a lot of people take advantage of that, especially elected officials, because they'll call you the next 5-6 months to be at every press conference. But that is the foundation, and we don't think about what comes along with it. And sometimes it is not on it. I have a survivor that just started the organization, and I tried to get in her ear prior to, but I had to ease up because I didn't want her to think that I would not support her.
And that's a very thin line, right?
When she told me, oh, I saw one of my child's friends, and he's an elected official, and he told me, if you start something, I'm going to support you. I said, you do know that their support looks like $5,000, right? You do know that eventually he may transition to other spaces. So you cannot start anything just based on that. It's a lot. It's a lot. But that's why I'm trying to assure that survivors take their rightful place in this CBI ecosystem. Because with being a part of the ecosystem, other opportunities do come.
Other opportunities come not only for them to find, to use the old phrase, get in where you fit in, right? But to find support. That's the beautiful part about an ecosystem is in an ecosystem, you never have to, a properly functioning ecosystem, you never have to do all things by yourself. There's the organic handoff by the other partners and the other sectors that are at the table. That's the beautiful thing. Let's say that you have somebody who is close to you who ends up losing a loved one violently to gun violence or whatever the circumstance may be. How do I, as a friend, show up to support them in a way that isn't superficial or isn't getting in their way? How I sometimes you want to call that person to check on them, but then you don't want to trigger them in case they're having a good day, right? And so if you could give me 1 or 2, 3 maybe tips on how to be supportive of someone who is in that space, I would love it. I'm sure there's others who would too.
Yeah. I learned so much from my godbrother when my mother passed. And so I think that depth and the support that is given in that time is so needed. The ministry of presence.
Okay.
Just being present.
So just being
Just
there.
not asking nothing, not doing. I'm not going to say not doing nothing, but not asking anything, because you're right. Sometimes you can say, checking in on you. But when it's people that know your heart, they know that don't mean, not like trigger alert, trigger alert, trigger alert, but that ministry of presence, of being there. Good friends of mine, I call him my brother and my sister. His mom passed, and I was at the house when he called to tell his wife. And I immediately got the mop, got the broom, started cleaning the bathroom, and they were looking at me like, but I knew that it was certain things that they would need to be done that their mind just wouldn't be on. And I started going back and reflecting on things that I would see my mother do during time of death, how she would cook up a meal and take to the family. And nowadays, they pick up chicken on the way there, which I ain't judging you, but they eat half of it before they leave. Like, okay, all right, this is just cat luck. We just coming here to hang out, huh? You're not thinking that this family, although they don't have an appetite right now, but I
They're not
just
going to
think,
want to cook dinner tonight.
yeah, yes. And I think we also have this thing where we want to be able to heal people's hurt. And some things we have to go through as individuals. And so sometimes not saying anything is better than saying the wrong thing. Case in point, I know how you feel. You really don't. Oresa, I know how you feel. Someone said that to me at my son's funeral. I know how you feel. I lost my mother. Did you give birth to your mother? No, you didn't. I was in San Diego a few weeks ago, and I talked about competitive grief. We try to make our grief just as great or greater than the person that we're talking to seem relatable. And it's no such thing. I can talk to a mother who lost her 21-year-old son August 7th, 2006, same day as my son, and still not have the same experience as her. Still not have the same journey. And so I think when we come to those spaces, just allowing people the space to grieve and the space to talk, and being wise enough to know when they want a response, when they need a response. And some friends of mine, I'll even ask, do you want to know what I think right now? And some of them be like, no, I just wanted to talk. And I got it. And sometimes later, they may be like, what was you thinking at that time? I think just feeling the moment. Feeling the moment.
You're
and
describing the
knowing,
McMillan.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just saying, you
going,
described the McMillan marriage right there. Like sometimes my
Really?
wife just want to say something, and then I'll be dumb enough to respond. She didn't want me to say nothing.
She'd be like, should I respond? Mine's would probably say the same thing, like, listen. But you're good. So going back to your initial question, if someone's child is murdered, I think knowing and recognizing that, first of all, that may be the most traumatic experience that they'll ever go through. And just recognizing that, and also giving that person grace when they lash out, because they will. When they act in a manner that you don't think they should be acting, because they will. I'll never forget screaming out the car door as we was driving away from the hospital. Get them the hospital. I'll never forget that. With my pastor in tow and everybody looking at me. And thankful that they gave me grace if they did. And I, right now, but in that moment, and knowing that it's a difference Like, I was there in the room when my mother passed. We didn't know until the next day when we took her off of the monitor that she passed 4 o'clock in the morning. Me and my husband saw his mother the morning of the day she passed. Those are different experiences. You know, in your loved one, the trauma that comes along with it. And I think being able also to identify where they may need other areas of support that you maybe can't support them in, but you can line up those supports for them. Like a survivor support services that's in the area, and say, listen, she may not want to talk to you yet, but I want to keep you on guard. I've had families that call me and go, Oresa, she locked herself in the bathroom. I don't know what to do. Put me on speaker. And then also talking to them and empowering them. The next time she does this, this is what you say. This is what you do. You know, so making sure that you build that community around them. And it relieves you as well, because if you are any type of friend or family, a friend that becomes family to that person, you are grieving as well.
Yeah.
So that's a few of the things that I would say.
I love it all. Again, I'm overjoyed that you agreed to be on the show, because you said something in I think that response, kind of in response to that question, that segues to another curiosity that I have. And it's about the role that the system plays in supporting the survivors. Specifically, you said, well, actually, this is what you said, and what made me think of it, but it's larger than that. When you said that somebody running for office or whatever it was told somebody, if you start something, I got you, I'll support it. And that person not recognizing that support meant like a $5,000 check, if they're lucky.
And everything else. But go ahead, Jonathan.
My question is, you've talked a lot about the experience of being a survivor that has taken their pain and turned it into purpose. We've talked about the need of an ecosystem. What is the responsibility of the systems? And I'm talking about the mayor's office, the public safety, all of the city institutions and agencies. What is their responsibility in supporting the survivors beyond just victim services?
Yeah. So that responsibility is to create systems that heal and not harm. Beyond victim services, we are still interacting with other city agencies, whether it's PD, a lot of survivors, and a lot of what I talk from is from my experience, but it was also the experience of the survivors that I work with. Because when I look at my experience, it was because of my support that I had a few kinks, but not as great as some of the others. And so when I talk about PD, something that they should be responsible for is the trauma-informed care trainings that they get, because a lot of what they do, it re-traumatizes survivors. And so that is from the inception of the experience throughout. So I have survivors that's not even told about crime victims compensation because PD already thinks, oh, they're not going to get it because their child was in a gang. And so they take away even the opportunity for them to be able to apply. And then that's where my advocacy hat came on, where I worked with Common Justice to get that removed. Contributory conduct. That is the wording.
Yes.
And so making sure that the systems that have been created, because this isn't new systems that they've created, but that the systems are reimagined. The same way we are reimagining public safety and opening up the portals for different kinds of safety modalities, the way that the systems are given forth should be done the same. So whether that is PD and even the common courtesy of giving families those return calls, whether they have caught someone or not, whether that is the hospital component of it, whether that is getting a transfer from housing in New York. Now they take most of them and they transfer the families to the same housing development. You transfer me to with Johnny's family, who they're saying my son killed it. Now my son is dead as well. Like it's like y'all want us to kill each other. But I think the
Well,
creation of system, yeah, they do, that impact and that heal and don't harm. But then it goes to, is that what y'all even wanted? And it is so much harm and trauma and toxicity in the systems that our agencies, and that's not just New York, that's all. Like, I think to work for most agencies, they got check boxes. Like, can you cuss people out? Mm-hmm. Can you have up a shield and not be caring? Like when people are going for these jobs, it's like that. But yeah, just making them more accountable.
I love the accountability component of everything you just said. I think about at this point, it's no big secret. I was miserable during my time working for the state, working for government, working in systems. I
Mm-hmm.
recognized that I needed to be in there, but I look at it retrospectively now that I needed to be in there to learn actually how systems work, right?
Yes,
That I
yes.
considered that was my master's doctorate program, whatever you want to call it. I also recognize that the system is in the bureaucracies that exist. All the
Mhm.
rules and all of the things that exist, it exists to protect the power, privilege, and philosophies of a few particular people. And the crazy part of it is many people who work for the system in the system, they believe in the old adage of get you a good government job and you're going to be protected,
Yeah,
right? You're going to
kingpin and
have
all
a
of that.
steady check,
Mhm.
pension, and so then they're demotivated to do any kind of disruption because then that jeopardizes their mortgage, their car payment,
That's right.
little
That's right.
Becky's braces, right?
That's
All of those things, and that was like the frustrating part for me. Yeah, I'm nuts
mhm.
sometimes. Even more so, I want to ask you, like, yes, all of that is absolutely true, but I guess the way I want to ask this question, and I've
Mhm.
been like kind of tiptoeing around it because again, I just admire and respect you so much. I don't
Mhm.
want to, I don't want to come across as callous, rude, or exploitive.
Mhm.
You've talked about the experience when Andrea was taken from you in such a
Mhm.
way, and like that in itself was a traumatic experience for any parent. Then you
Absolutely.
had two other experiences that were like two other negative experiences with the system immediately after losing your child. And I want to bring attention to that because I think people need to recognize that the doctor in the emergency room, the
Mhm.
investigation, the detectives who contacted you
Mhm.
did not do
Mhm.
anything to advocate for your healing journey after losing the
Mhm.
child. Can you talk about those
Yes,
experiences and then the work you've done in order to rectify and reduce the opportunities for system to do what they did?
absolutely. And so when these instances happen,
Can you talk
when
to say what the instances are?
when I got to the hospital, firstly, we went to the wrong hospital at first. It was another young man that was shot as well. We went to the hospital where he was at. They sent us to Woodhull Hospital. Got there, flooded, people in the room waiting for the doctor to come back. The doctor comes back. His questions were this: do you know what your child was doing over here? Do you know what your child had on? Do you know? Hey, I just want to know what is going on with my child. How's he doing? Oh, I'm sorry, we couldn't save him. Now, in my mind, traumatized at those very words, I see him just walk away and I fall out. And that is what I remember. My husband, looking from another lens, said that he stood there a few minutes but not a few minutes, but give or take or whatever. But in my traumatic mind, just you saying, sorry, we couldn't save, the way that it was done was not from me standing up in the middle of a floor, like was not a trauma-informed way at all. And Woodhull is one of the hospitals. It's a trauma hospital where you take individuals. So my son isn't the first. Actually, I know others that have transitioned there. So that was one of the things that it was just unbelievable to me. Like, I couldn't believe that. Get in the car, go to my friend's houses, Neil and Regina, and I'm there. And a part of the process, the system is that you then receive a call from the detective. So I'm like, okay, the detective is on the phone. Hey, at that time, it's Miss Napper. This is Detective Hennigan, and I just want you to know I'm the detective that's on your son's case. You are Andrell Napper's mother, correct? Correct. Well, and I'll let you know if your son had anything to do with this. And I'm like, had anything to do with this? Like, you don't have to let me know if my son had anything to do with this because I know he didn't. And yeah, well, I'll call you back and let you know. Jonathan, in hindsight, I'm even more upset because that was his opportunity to say, I'm saying that because if we find out that it was contributory conduct, you will not be able to receive crime victims compensation. In my mind at that time, you just trying to blame my son's murder on himself. And so those systems have us thinking like we don't owe anybody an explanation of how we say it to them, why we say it to them, or whatever. Fast forward to now, that is why I am adamant about knowing the system of the people where I serve. Whether it is the amount of hours that the detectives have to call you, what applying for crime victims compensation looks like. That looks like you going to a funeral home, getting the bill and everything, and then applying. If you have blood there in your home or in front of your building, the crime scene cleanup. We fought legislation with that. And then that's what I'm teaching survivors across the country. Like, you cannot serve survivors if you don't know the system. Because that system will re-traumatize them over and over and over. And so thank you for reminding me of that. I don't want to go too far in my work that I forget about those injustices and the fight that we've had to assure that no one gets the same, feels the same. So that has been definitely something we've been working on.
I so appreciate your thoroughness of your answer and your willingness to answer that. Again, I was walking on eggshells because I did not want to reinvoke the trauma.
Don't.
And I recognize that, like, people need to know this is the landscape that survivors are navigating when we talk about, now I forget the phrasing, what is it? Conduct. Contributory conduct. To me, that is such a foreign concept because it dehumanizes the person who you were talking to. Like, let's move aside from the victim for just a second, and recognize that the benefit that the system believes is owed to people who experience a loss of a family member through a violent crime is owed something. Like, that right there says, okay, we recognize the humanity in this event, except for if the person was involved in what they contributed to, their conduct contributed to their death. What does that have to do with the people left behind? They're still humans and they still are going through a mourning process. They're still going through a grieving process. They're still going through the financial burden of the loss of that person. So it doesn't matter if they contributed to their death or not. If you have established a statement of people are owed something due to violent crime, then it shouldn't matter if they were contributory or not. Anyway, I know I'm preaching to the choir on that. So, oh, you're muted somehow. Let me unmute you. I can't. Uh-oh. I don't know what happened. You're muted somehow.
Now,
Okay, I hear you. Yo.
well, okay, good. Yeah, that right there is disheartening, but we're fighting.
So with that disheartening, I know you have worked on policy and legislation to right that wrong, at least there in New York. But if I'm not mistaken, you've had conversations nationally to review some of these, what I would call discriminatory laws. Is that correct?
Yes,
And if so, what does that look
definitely.
like?
So I worked with a few organizations, especially CAP, because they actually did a grading for cities and for their crime victims compensation and what that grade looks like. So let's even say Baton Rouge, they give $4,500 for a funeral. And most of them there don't even apply for it, opposed to Chicago, that gets 45,000 and they really don't apply there because they don't think that they will receive it. But just helping the national survivors that we're working with to look at it, I think we as a people, we have a tough time not just complaining, but doing something as well. You're trying to resolve the injustices because you will hear a lot of complaints, a lot of challenges, a lot of what happened to me. And my question is, what you doing about it? Like we have some survivors that cases are cold now and they're closed. I'm like, okay, do you know the difference between a cold case and a closed case? How many other survivors do we have that's in the same instance? Are we doing a survey to kind of see what that looks like, then to take it to the new mayor or to take it to the new DA? Like, what are we actually doing? And that's how I want to empower people to show people how they say, used to say, the buck stops here. The buck does not stop there. It does not stop at the detective that is in the precinct. It goes to the inspector. It goes to the chief of police. It goes to the commissioner. And you have to do the work, but also partner with those people. One of my favorite partners is Common Justice because they will just have their ear. They ear us. So you always say that they've only given you guys $6,000 since your son was murdered and everything is going up, even the price of bread, except for that. And they'll repeat me back to the T. So what did they do but write a $12,000 legislation? That Governor Kathy Hochul, when we took it to her, she was like, oh no, y'all don't have to put this in legislation. I'll put this in my new budget. So we just have to be able to work with people. We have to be able to work with people to identify those partners and what they look like, to know that you can achieve success in a silo, but your greatest success is amongst others, is in the presence of others that can really help you do those things that you don't even know how to. That has been the work that actually Anthony challenged us to do, of how powerful it would be for us, for us as national survivors, identifying one thing that we will work on for the year and being able to come back to a CU convening and say, this is what we worked on for the year. We worked with our CVI organizations because I don't co-sign to survivor organizations working alone. It has to be as a part of the ecosystem. And coming back and being able to say, this is what we've accomplished. This is what we're working on. So this is my passion, Jonathan.
I love
eat, sleep. I'm telling you, I'm like, all right, God, you put it in me because the love I have for this work and the way that God keeps just exposing my innovativeness, if that's a word.
It is.
Like every
It
time I
is, and
think
you
I've
personify
arrived,
it. Yes.
every time I think I've arrived, it's always an untapped area that needs support, that needs enhancement, that needs amplifying. It's always a group of people. So while I'm talking about survivors and the mothers and stuff that are doing work, it's a whole stream of spouses. Ashley in Louisville, that's how you say it. She has street widows.
Yeah.
I have a whole group text of dads. And every time I meet a dad, I'm dropping him in that. Like, I'm waiting to really do some stuff for siblings. Like, yo, this survivor. I was on a panel with OVS at their annual conference, and the founder of Urban Grief said, for every one of our loved ones that's murdered or taken, however we want to say it, there is at least 7 people that is left that need support. 7 people.
Wow.
7 people.
Wow.
And so that is how great the survivor's work is. All of those different streams. You know, those grandmothers and those aunts. I have a grandmother and an aunt, and their grandson and nephew's mom passed away, and their brother, whose child it was, don't even have the strength to talk about his son. And so it is phenomenal, the work that continues to grow and continues to heal our people.
So,
What you got for
Oresa,
me, Jonathan? I see you thinking.
you have eloquently talked about, well, you just serve the questions organically and naturally up as you talk about how much work is needed. Like you said, you show up, the work presents itself, you show up as a servant leader, you're obviously a solution finder, problem solver. And how are you taking care of yourself? And I'm asking you
So,
personally, how are you taking care of yourself?
Mhm.
And there's a second part to that question. I want to put it out here. For those who want to follow in your footsteps because they are attempting to channel their pain into purpose, what advice do you have for them in taking care of themselves? So go ahead.
yeah, I think that in my latter years in this work, I have started to make that a regimen, you know? So whether it is, I love my Thursday evenings when it's like bubble bath and different things like that. But I also love things like going out just with my husband, just using my weekends because I'm always all over the place and driving here or flying there or whatever, just having that time. I've started
What do y'all like
making
to do?
sure that we like to try new restaurants. We have, in the last maybe year, we've been to 2 Broadway plays, but we've been talking more about doing that at least quarterly. We are big music buffs. And so we've traveled to go to concerts and things like that. Last year, when we were in Louisville for Cities United convening, it actually fell around his birthday, which is October 31st. So he came out. We had dinner at the hotel upstairs where it goes round. We went to the spa at the hotel. We went to the
Yeah,
Muhammad Ali
Muhammad Ali
Center.
Center.
And,
Yes.
and I love just to relax and play my game on my phone,
Okay.
on my tablet. Just relax and play my game. Like it doesn't, for me, like self-care doesn't have to be big. It makes me like
Absolutely not.
waking up a little bit early and earlier and just having a few moments of mindfulness before I pick up a phone and text and just grounding myself for the day, going to my Bible app, seeing what scripture is there, going to a plan maybe that I may have, seeing what that looks like, and just taking it easy and putting things up because realizing that tomorrow is another day. nothing is going to blow up. Nothing is going to happen if you put up something till the next day. Nothing. Absolutely. So for all of you wonder workers, nothing is going to happen if you put up something till the next day. And I find myself doing, Jonathan, I find myself shutting down earlier in the day and working late at night when it's more quiet, when I can think a little bit better.
Yes.
Much for wake up in the morning, be like, you was emailing us 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'll set up text in my phone for 9 a.m. to go out. Like just different things. But last thing I'll say that I've started doing is the vitamin drips. I love going, it's called Lux Wellness. I love going there, doing my vitamin drips. They put the rays on my face. They do massages, like all kinds of stuff. But it just gives me a minute to wind down because as I grow in age, I am realizing that I am not good with consistency sometimes. And sometimes that shows up in taking vitamins. Like I got vitamins brand new that I'm going to give away. So I found a way to keep myself healthy and well by doing the vitamin drip, by just going there and just sitting back and talking to her about experiences. And, okay, Oresa, will you be traveling? Let me give you a little bit of extra vitamin C. It's the most phenomenal experience.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look into it because everything you said is also me. I have thrown away brand new bottles of vitamins because they sat around so long and expired. They were never opened. So I may have to look into it. So the second part, because we're almost at time, and I want to absolutely respect your time.
Was at 8.
I feel like we could talk for hours.
Yeah.
For the person who wants to get into this work, and because they truly are attempting to find purpose in their pain, the piece that I tend to see go unaddressed most often is the need for self-care, or at least boundaries. What boundaries or what advice would you give to that person who is embarking on this journey to starting their own organization or getting involved in the work?
I think incorporating this work into your life and not incorporating your life into this work. You have to go in with those boundaries that this work will not overtake your life. That it just won't. And that foundation of healing that you are so givingly giving to others and grace and all of those other things, first give it to yourself. Know that what you are setting forth to do, that it is not going to be accomplished overnight. And it is going to change so much. Like I never thought where I am now, what I'm doing now, even all of the things that have been done, all of the spaces and places that I've been in would have ever happened. What is the scripture? He comes that you might have life and that more abundantly. That abundantly, you don't know what that abundantly going to look like. And it's just like going with those open doors. Like I look back today, had I not, two of my closest confidants and colleagues, anybody knows me, is A.T. Mitchell and Erica Ford. And A.T. Mitchell was the first to create the space for me. And Erica has consistently, she loved to give people jobs. And so it was they were putting together the Black and Brown Peace Consortium, and they wanted me to go. It came to New York. I didn't go. It went to LA. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going. Pushed me into that space, and I'm thinking I'm going there for one reason. that was the evolvement of everything. That is where I met Amber Goodwin, Dr. Chico, Anthony, Pastor Mike. It was like the dream team, and just meeting them opened up my doors to the White House, opened up my doors to being heard as a part of the curriculum for the CVILA, the Community Violence Intervention Leadership Academy, serving on the steering committee there, being a facilitator, like so much. Joan, try to map this whole thing out. And I know us, we try to have strategies and this is what we're going to do. And it don't work like that. That doesn't give God room to do what he's going to do. And then you're going to get frustrated that it didn't work. So take your time.
Yes. I so co-sign that. Being willing to show up ready to work. But willing to do that, so many opportunities come your way. I mean, I'm all about having a goal, but I'm also about, it's all about the next best step. It's not necessarily mapping out every single step, but what is the best next step in front of me right now?
Yes.
What is the opportunity that if I say yes to it right now is going to lead somewhere else? And what is the opportunity if I say no to that I need to say no to that's going to defer me from where I need to be? Because I'm going to be I'm going to be past my capacity. I'm not going to be able to focus on what I have already said yes to. So
That's
anyway,
right.
I'm not going to get on
We in
that
that piece with
soapbox.
that.
This has been an amazing conversation. There are like probably 4 other things I wanted to talk to you about, but we're just going to have to save that for part two.
And
So many other things that I just, again, know about you and admire, and I think other people need to learn from. So if you allow me, I am bringing you back. But with that all said, the show is called The Incredible Messenger because the people who I invite onto this show are incredible messengers to the audiences, the populations who they work with. And obviously, your credibility is on display through this conversation. So, as a credible messenger, Oresa, I would love to give you the opportunity to share a message with the audience. It's something that you want them to know about you or the work or whatever you want to be.
I'll leave with something that's really important to me that I see others struggle with, and that is finding your community. Not just taking community as a place where we live and different things like that, but finding that space that you can support and that can support you and that you can learn from and that you can give back, like that has what you need in it. And also realizing that you may need more than one community. But I hate the fact that some people walk this road alone, walk this road with feeling that they don't have anyone that can relate to them, whether it is in CVI, whether it is in the survivors, whatever space it's in. And I think it's important. Your community kind of identifies who you are, although you have your own uniqueness and your own purpose. Your community also helps you to hone in on not only finding that purpose, but living in it. And that's the most important part, that we are all here for a purpose, and let's do this thing because we don't know when our last days are. So let's just keep doing the work.
Amazing closing message. Again, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show and sharing your insights, wisdom, and letting us all experience a little bit of who Miss Oresa Napper-Williams, founder of Not Another Child. So how do people get in touch with you?
So several social media platforms. Oresa Napper-Williams is my personal one. Official NAC is Not Another Child. Official NAC 116, I believe. And then for survivors that are across the nation that want to start their work or become a part of the network, CVINSN, that's Community Violence Intervention National Survivor Network. All 3 of those aspects also have websites, cvinsn.org, not anotherchild.org, OresaWill.com, I believe. But yeah, and then all of them have this space where you can do a contact us. And I'll definitely, if not myself getting right back to you, which is how I usually try to do it, somebody will get back to let you know that we received your information, and let's build together.
So thank you, Oresa. Look, she has shared so much knowledge, so many truth bombs, so many gems. So I've done it again. I brought y'all another dope guest. You can thank me later, or you can thank me now by whether you're looking at this on Spotify, you're looking at this on YouTube. If you're on Apple, please rate the show 5 stars, because I attempt to create a 5-star show for y'all. Make sure you reach out if you have questions about Oresa. You can leave those questions in the comments. I'll make sure that she gets them. And do me a favor, in light of the conversation, I want y'all to do me a favor after this episode. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones. Make sure you let people know the value that they bring into your life and be contributory value to someone else. With that said, I'm out of here. Peace.